Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Get early access to all of our interviews, including the monthly Chichester chats with writer and comic book legend DG Chichester, new episodes of classic Capes and Lunatics shows, including The Quantum Zone, This, That, or the Third, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/Capes and Lunatics. Hope to see you there.
Recording has started.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Capes and Lunatics. All right, I am Phil. Joining me, as always, it is Lilith.
Hey, y'all.
And again, we're talking in the new DC movie, Joker. So Tyler is joining us.
Hey. What up?
Yes, we're here to do the review because, well, as the internet, we loved it, I think, as much as the internet did. Joker, filet of deux, or filet of deux, or filet of fish, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I like filet of fish a lot better.
There was no French in this movie. It did not take place in France. How dare you talk to it? All right. So, all right. First, I want to know when did you just get? Well, I know when Lilith went to see this, but Tyler, what time of day? What day did you go to see this, and how packed was the theater?
We went Thursday night at 6, and there was 4 people in the theater.
Oh, nice.
Well, like our theater we have is kind of like a independent, small town theater that's close by. It's not like a big chain, so we like to go there because it's close and we know the owners and everything.
Nice.
But yeah, it was only Jania, me, and then another couple. And I'll tell some of the couple's comments as we go through this review today.
Nice. Because Luca and I went today, Sunday, at 11:15 a.m. and we were 2 of 4 people in the theater. So
nice.
Yeah. So this thing ain't making its money back.
I can't answer that question.
Well, I said I know matey. I know when you watched it.
Yes.
I know. Yeah. So, but
the kids hated it. So.
Well, everyone seemed to hate it.
No, it's crazy because like on the internet, it's like a 50-50 kind of thing. Like I'm reading all the reviews and stuff, and I'm just like, some people just really want to have Todd Phillips' dick in their mouth.
Whoa! Whoa!
Like no, like listen, I get it. Like I get what he was trying to do, but me personally, I feel like he failed miserably at it.
Again, I think it almost occurred to me that it was almost it's the curse of the modern comic book movie.
Yeah, we'll get to it. I mean, it was supposed. They literally said it was supposed to be. So let's get into the interesting tidbit. That's kind of like the pink elephant in the room. You know, it was meant to be a standalone film. It was meant to be launched for DC Black. That's supposed to be like the darker line of the DCEU. But we all know that was in trouble. It was failing, so it didn't really work out. But Joaquin's like, hey, I still want to, have. It made $1 billion. It's gonna have a franchise. It's gonna have at least one more sequel. Like we know this. It made $1 billion. They were struggling at the time, and allegedly Joaquin told Todd, like, hey man, I really don't want to leave Arthur Fleck. Let's figure something out. Bullshit. So like, yeah, just no.
It was we all know was, hey, we made $1 billion making the indie movie we wanted about mental health, and we tricked everyone in by calling it Joker and putting some labels out there for Gotham and naming a couple of characters. Let's see how much money we can get out of them for a sequel.
That's exactly how I feel.
That's exact. I mean, not that they didn't put in the work, but I'm just saying I just feel like they were like, hey, we can do another movie and make it and do what we want and get a ton of money out of it. Because I mean, the budget for the first one, $50 million.
Exactly.
The budget for this one, $200 million. And
And I
if
don't know
remember
where
right,
that money went. I mean, I guess it's inflation or something.
well, I was saying inflation one, but like Joaquin got like what 20 some million for this. Todd Phillips got something close. Like he got a lot, and Gaga got like 10 million.
I was gonna say she's a name. I'm sure she got something.
So I mean, like almost the budget for the first film went to just the salaries of the three.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Mhm.
But so this is interesting, right? So like the literal sequel to the movie Father, it tells you, okay, we're gonna deal with some more mental illness.
Yeah,
Like that's literally what it means: madness, mental illness. And I'm just like, okay, so I mean, I don't know. Like it's so weird because I just always felt like that whole idolization of Arthur Fleck. It's like one of those characters that you miss the point you're not supposed to idolize him. And I feel like maybe even Todd Phillips felt some responsibility to come back and tear this character down and make it obvious that you shouldn't be rooting for him. I don't know. Maybe he felt a little responsibility as an artist, as a director and a writer and stuff like that. That was his duty to come back and like, wait a minute. These guys totally they went over their heads. Let me come over here with a sledgehammer and let them know.
I mean,
Well,
I felt Tyler's point, especially with this one, where it's like if you had done a movie just about mental illness with Arthur Fleck, not as the Joker, just
It would have
it would have been better. I think
it would have flopped though. It wouldn't have made $1 billion.
Right.
Yeah, it would have made $1 billion. But
go in that movie, call it New York, call it whatever you want to call the Thomas Wayne character, okay, and call it him clown. It's the exact same movie.
Send in the clown. That's
You lose nothing from that movie. Because I mean, I guess my thing with this movie and people's reaction to it, I never looked at after seeing Joker, because they call him Joker, instead of the. And a lot of times there's one comment where it says the Joker, but like in every other Batman story, you hear more of like the Joker.
Yep.
The
clown, the
so
crime prince, blah, blah,
I never
blah.
looked at it after seeing the first one like, oh, they made a comic book movie.
No.
They made a movie about a man who's mentally ill, who has problems, who's in the social commentary,
who lives in a society.
And they threw in some terms that we know to give it a sheen of a comic book film. So the sequel does the exact same thing. So I'm not expecting, like, when I'm reviewing this movie and discussing it, the first thing that Jenny and I talked about, because Jenny and I did like a rough review where we talked in the car on the way home, or a little bit before, and then on the way home, and then we just put that up on my YouTube page. And if you just toss out any kind of comic book stuff, just toss that out and look at it as the film itself,
it's still kind of stinky. Sorry.
Oh no. It makes sense where it goes, okay? But it's still like the strong, like the first film has such a strong narrative. And this one is kind of like, where is it going? What's happening? Because it starts to make these subplots that go absolutely nowhere.
We're padding runtime, absolutely.
And that was one thing. When it was over, I was like, you could trim this movie down. And I don't even mind the musical stuff, because I feel like
the courthouse scenes that kill me. Like, why are we recapping the first movie? It made $1 billion. Everybody that's seeing this movie has seen the first one. Padding the runtime.
There's so much that could just be trimmed and tightened of just certain scenes. Like, I like the fact that they did the court scene and they had Mr. Puddles back and Sophia back. It brought some continuity from the first film of returning characters, and like, but we have no idea how much time has passed between the events of the first movie.
Well, they tell us it's 2 years. It's 1983, so the first movie was 1981.
I missed that then.
It was
2 years. I thought we would get to see something like some sort of like interesting meta commentary or something by showing us the made-for-TV movie at some point, because they keep referencing it, like just like Arthur finally gets to watch.
Lifetime had a ball with this story.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we would have got to see footage from that. But my biggest problem is also my favorite thing in this movie, and that's Harley.
Oh, okay.
And because I find that her character was interesting,
Star effort.
but extremely underutilized. But at the same time, what made me frustrated is I feel there's a complete subplot with her that was cut out. Because if you go back and watch the trailers, there's the scene of her in the elevator with the short hair and the black, which is the outfit that she's wearing on the stairs when Arthur sees her at the end, that's cut out. And I'm kind of curious of what, because her like putting on her makeup was supposed to mirror him in the first movie when he's getting ready and he comes out, before the TV as Joker and everything. But they set her up that supposedly she checked herself in, her parents are still alive, everything she's saying. So she becomes more of our unreliable narrator in this movie, even though she's not leading the movie. But what got me is it felt like so many things that she did, either felt like, is she paying people to be part of this? Is because we have the scene where she gets into the prison supposedly and sees Arthur when he's in lockup. Okay, supposedly. Is that really happening, or is that his mind?
Exactly.
I don't know if there's evidence either way. All right. Somehow they stop giving Arthur his medicine.
No, he says he stopped taking it.
But watch the scene when he looks at the cup, and then he looks at the nurse, and then he smiles. It's because it's not his medicine or the right medicine or something. It's changed. How does she get into the trial? There's one seat open in the back, and you see all the people fighting to get in there. And his lawyer doesn't even really want her there. But she gets in and she gets to place herself, insert herself. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It feels like there was more with her, what's going on, than we really got to explore with her character.
Well, and there's no tea, no shade. Lovely woman, beautiful ball gowns. Love me some Gaga. Don't come at me, little monsters. Awesome singer, not such a great actress. So I could understand why they cut a lot of. If there was like some more that was supposed to be around her, and they had to kind of cut it because it just kind of didn't work. They kind of probably took the best takes and scenes and said, well, we thought we were going to do this, and ended up going a different direction. Because like, honestly, the projects that Gaga, if you've ever seen her do acting like that Versace movie, it's a little more catered and crafted towards her and her background of being Italian and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So this one was kind of like out of her wheelhouse. I really was kind of shocked, honestly, that she would have signed on to a sequel, no less. So I'm thinking there was like some stuff behind the scenes, like where they thought they could do something and realized they probably shouldn't.
I mean,
I don't want the Phillips cut.
No.
I would just watch the deleted scenes, honestly, like on a release, because I just found what they were doing with her character more interesting, because it seemed like she was up to something. Like Jania asked me at one point, like, do you think she's a plant? I was like, I don't know. It would be interesting if she was.
The question: do you think she's the one that sent in at the guy at the end? Well, we'll get to it. I don't want to do the spoiler just yet. Spoilers abound, guys, obviously. I get what you're saying. Those were the vibes, especially like because that was kind of my take on it.
Yeah, I kind of
thought she might have sent that guy.
I kind of took it.
She's the actual, real Joker, maybe in this universe.
And that's kind of what I was kind of wondering. Like, was she going to be like he would embrace Joker? So now she is. I don't. Yeah. I was
she's
like
more Punchline than she is Harley. Actually, when you think about it, if you know anything about Punchline in the DC comics, those were the vibes that I was getting actually.
And I was taking her character. I was fine with what they were doing with her character. But then I felt like when they said that her parents are alive and that she has her master's in psychology, I was like, okay, now you're just trying to
add the Harley Quinn actual backstory a little bit.
Right. And I'm like, and then I felt like, well, that opens it up now more that what is her character's deal? Because now I'm more interested if she is this well off and everything. I want to know more about how she got obsessed with Joker, where she comes in.
Well, self-radicalization, I think, is an underlying thing of this film and the on the other film, specifically the other film that carries over to this. I think that's what that was kind of a reference to. And that's why I said I feel like Todd almost felt like an obligation to just really hammer home the point about, hey, you're not really supposed to be rooting for this guy.
Yeah, I mean,
He's like, if I'm gonna make a sequel and people have grossly misunderstood my work, let me go back and fix that. I really feel like that's what this is about.
But how many characters do they make where they're not, but people start rooting for, like, they're the bad guy, like you're not supposed
Todd
to.
Phillips is kind of an arrogant. Listen, I love the guy, and most directors in their own right, in some kind of way, and I mean this in the best way, you kind of have to be in Hollywood, especially to be a director, is an arrogant asshole. So if you take his message wrong and he gets a chance to let you know, hey, you're wrong, they're gonna take it every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So
I just took it as she was just I don't know, she was upset.
she's a sycophant. She's
She was
a hanger-on.
She was obsessed with Joker, and as we saw, once he was kind of done with it towards the end, she just went.
Like, oh, you don't want to do it? I want to do it. So.
Yeah. And I don't know about the guy at the end, but do you think she called the cops on him on the stairs?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't
No.
think.
But see, I feel like the whole fact that she moved into his apartment and was like living in it and everything, like, was so undercut and under just
Because we saw her in the elevator. That was it. Yeah.
But yeah, like, it was like, that was a big deal. And then, like, they have the scene where she puts the gun to her head.
So did it even happen? You know what I mean? He just wants to die in Arkham, so maybe that's the whole thing, and we get a Joker 3.
My thing was, like, the gun to her head was kind of like her doing this ritual of, like, what Arthur went through. If she's watched this movie that was supposed to tell his story, she kind of has an idea, because that's why I said, like, the movie's kind of interesting, because if Arthur, like, there was that book that somebody wrote about Arthur and everything, that the guy wanted Arthur to sign it. So maybe Arthur told, like, oh, I went and I did these activities before getting ready for Murray's show.
Yeah, between
so,
that,
like, she was creating like a ritual of in the sense becoming just like Arthur, because there is that drastic change. And I mean, like I said, for the most part, I kind of assumed that she was there on the stairs, because we're not really given anything to help us discern if she was or wasn't. Like, it just doesn't, because no one else interacts with her. But then why would Arthur see her differently? And if it's his mind, why is in his mind her rejecting him? Like, if what he really wants and he's been embracing her is for her to be a part of him, why all of a sudden would he project her as rejecting him instead of accepting him, if it is his mind? But
yeah, why would she even lie to him? Yeah, I mean, I think just the musical stuff and the variety show thing where his delusion.
It did not need those musical numbers.
No, I know
it didn't, but I didn't mind most of them. Like, I'd have to go back through and tell you, like, okay, you could have cut it here. You could have done this like just a little shorter. It's like some of them I didn't mind, because
like, for me, the Joaquin scene didn't need to happen. Like the Lady Gaga, totally, I could be totally fine with that. But the Joaquin Phoenix stuff, no, they could have cut that. They could have cut it.
It
didn't help.
I feel like it's an extension of the music, the way they talked about in the first film. But the first one had such a clear voice of what we want to talk about and what we want to do. And this one's kind of like we're making it up as we go.
Yep.
And I feel like it was overinflated. And they wasted my boy in this movie. They just threw him in there just as a name. Pissed me off. Mr. Harvey Dent. They're just like, we'll just throw him in there.
He gets his face melted off at the explosion at the courthouse. Okay.
I know. I looked at Ginny. I was like, this is pathetic. This is bullcrap. Like, don't do this to my boy.
Oh, well, that's the other thing with the explosion. Wasn't she there when the bomb went off? I'm like, boy, she looks pretty okay when she meets him later on the stairs.
She already left.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, she did run. That's right. She did run out because he was.
So I just want to talk about where we're at budget, box office wise. So the budget was $200 million, and I think it's probably a little bit over that when you include marketing. And right now we're sitting at 121 or so million. So
Was that worldwide or domestic?
I think
that's
it's
worldwide.
Domestic.
I think it's
oh my
worldwide.
god, that's the worldwide. Oh my god. And like the word of mouth is, hey, don't go see this.
Yeah, I was gonna
Like,
say it's
every
Sunday.
single like reviewer that's not like, you know, like Extra or, you know, a Hollywood Access, so Variety, you know, they're like, hey, just save your money, wait for it to come to streaming or DVD, you know, like literally everyone that hated that doesn't care for the movie. There are people, like I said, I'm seeing reviews, so I'm really confused. I'm
People
seeing
don't.
reviews that people say they like it.
I,
Like I
I,
said, I get the actual thing that he's trying to say. I just don't like the manner in which he did it. I feel like some people are like, oh, it's a masterpiece. You know,
No.
it's not really supposed to be a comic book movie. It's this
Well,
art
that's
house
fine.
thriller.
We'll call it
It's
Joker.
like, duh, don't call
But-
it Joker. And
yeah.
people won't be
But I'm
mad.
like, even if I just look at it, like I said, if I'm watching this void of the comic book and I'm just watching it as a film, like Jania looked at me at one time and goes, I'm kind of bored.
Yeah, there's no plot. Things just actually happen. It's
You know,
not very cohesive for me.
Afterwards, Jania's biggest thing was actually, I'm bored at times and I'm very underwhelmed. And I didn't have like high expectations. You know, like I'm not going in thinking like this is gonna be Joker and Harley's big thing. I'm like, no, this is the story filtered through that first movie. So just whatever they deliver is okay. And then, but at the same time, like I think there's shots in it that are beautiful.
Yeah.
And there's some great acting scenes, but it's like it's one of those like you have a great scene, a great scene, a great scene, but you put them together, it's not making a good movie.
Exactly.
Okay.
The sum of the total parts is I think the parts are better than the sum for sure.
I mean, okay, big spoiler. Do you think she was actually pregnant?
No, she said she was lying.
Oh, did she?
Basically, yeah.
I it's one of those I have to watch it again. I'd like to watch it again, and of course, like watching it at home, turn on the subtitles just to get all the dialogue. But I think the whole she's pregnant thing, I think that's supposed to be ambiguous because when he says it to her on the stairs, she doesn't say anything or respond at all.
Like I said, it's hard to tell what conversation is actually real in this movie, and that's kind of frustrating too at times.
And I was like, if she is pregnant, I was like, damn, that was the most.
She's pregnant with the twins, boys. We did it.
I was like, that's the most potent 5 seconds I've ever heard of.
But that's
what's that myth that like quote unquote crazy people their sperm stronger or something like that? There's like an old wives' tale about that. Actually, maybe that's a reference to that as well. I don't know.
My thing is the time. You're not really given how much time passes. Of like
madness.
He's supposed to be in the whole for like 2 weeks and everything, but you never quite know how long the events of this movie.
And maybe that's also another reference, him being in solitary confinement and how they say it does drive the people in there crazy. Even like sane people can come out if they stay in there too long, a little crazier too. So, and he's already a little off his rocker. So
I feel like there's clues and stuff in the first one of stuff that you can really debate whether that really happened the way it happened or it didn't. One of the biggest ones, okay, for me is the whole time I'm watching this film, they're talking about how many people Arthur killed. And I'm listening and I'm thinking, okay. So at the end of the first film, he's in that room with the lady. And then when he comes walking out, he's got like bloody footprints. And so I'm thinking like, everyone's like, did he kill the interviewer or not? But in this film, like when they reference how many people Arthur has killed, she's never mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Unless he just attacked her and she's lived through it.
See, that's what I came with. And I said,
what
would
have been on the stand if that would have happened too, though. So.
And then I told Jania, would have been more interesting if the end of this movie was just him back in that room again, just a moment before the scene where he walks out with the bloody footprints. Like the whole thing's him in that room, just laughing to himself. Like, once again, like you wouldn't get it.
Yeah.
And in the first film, there's like I said, there's like clocks and time clocks. If you watch the background that have certain times that are all the same, and you can kind of start to think like, is this real or whatever? But this movie doesn't have those type of triggers to dissect the movie.
It was slapped together. They didn't care. They just want the money, and look how that's working out for them. Like,
they wanted the money. They got their money. The creators, they got their money. It's the studio that decided to, and it also makes me say, you're missing the point of this movie and why it made the money it did.
Yep.
That's what I said. I said
But
that
that's the suits, man. Anything makes $1 billion. Marvel, DC, whatever intellectual property or whatever studio, they're gonna do a sequel. It doesn't matter if the person says no. It's kind of like James Cameron, where he's like, I made a masterpiece. I'm not coming back to make T2. Leave me alone. Get out of here.
Once again, I said it.
Or Ridley Scott. He finally came back to the franchise because they butchered it so bad. So, and he was like, "Well, here, fine. You want to know some stuff?" And got his money and left. I don't fault the creator for doing it, but
we got this. We didn't get Batgirl. That's all I'll say.
Because this took 5 years.
That girl, Phil.
It took 5 years to get us this, and I my thing is for people who are trying to who thought this was like the Joker or like a real Joker. And I'm like, no, from the beginning, they've never said that.
They said Arthur Fleck, no name associated with. I'm like, oh, okay. We're on a grip here, kids. Stop it.
And they didn't even play they really didn't even play with our in the Killing Joke. I think a lot of people missed the point of the Killing Joke. And Phil and I talked about this, that in the end of the book, he says, that's one way I choose to remember it. Or,
yep.
It can happen different ways. And people take that story and think that's the origin. No, that's how he's telling you. The whole thing is him lying to you through the book, what's real and what's not. And they could have played with that some way of this is one way I like to talk about.
I think they gave that job to Harleen. Lee.
So, even them calling her Lee didn't bother me because it just feels like something they would have done. Just to kind of get around that whole thing,
Do you think this whole thing, including the ending, was always the plan, or
no?
It's like, oh no, yeah, that's what I was thinking, because it's like, okay, now it's like with gun stuff coming, they're like, yeah, no, this ain't.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it never mattered.
Okay, we're gonna talk about the end. That's fine. Todd Phillips said in the beginning, back when the first movie came out, maybe this is the guy that is the Joker, but inspires the real Joker. He's
firmly said that's what it is.
And that's the thing, is he said that before, and I'm like, to me, that just helps sell the fact that he's not making the origin of the Joker, guys. Exactly. He's making a movie he wants, and he's tricking you.
You know what this movie is? It's the Buzz Lightyear movie from Pixar, basically.
Oh man.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what it is. Especially when they referenced the made-for-TV movie, I was like, aha.
So, my thing is I went in with just expectations of
the bar was in hell, and they still managed to go under it.
I wanted to see an interesting movie that would make me think just like the first one. I wasn't, and the idea of Harley was interesting to see how they're going to do it. But then I feel like that's the part that makes me the angriest, because I feel like they tried to do her character and then they start to give more interesting points with her character, but then never really let us see her story or who she really is or what she's up to, or I don't know.
Well, by the time you get to the end, I don't like her because she's manipulating.
She's a hanger-on. She's
punchline. She's manipulating this guy with with mental issues, and it's just
And that's why I think it would have been more interesting if she got them to stop giving him his meds. She was giving the nurse money so that she could bring Joker back out.
Because it's Gotham. All you need is $20 for anybody at this point.
See, that's the other thing I wasn't clear on, Tyler, because did they not give him his meds? The actual people.
Well, Arkham is an abusive place specifically.
Yeah, I get that.
So it's the guards are beating them. So yeah, if the nurses don't want to do their job, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't even think it's malice intent. It's just actual wage kind of situation at that point too. Because remember, they were having basically riots in the first one too, and they were kind of alluding to the garbage strike and all the things that kind of happened around New York during that time too.
Services, yeah.
Yeah, so You know.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of things, lots of commentary, but I feel like everything was very, and then even in the first movie, it felt everything was very superficial. It's like literally not that deep, you know. But what the minute that the it opens and it's an animated sequence, I'm like, okay, here we go, boys. Here we go.
Let's talk about the animated sequence.
I'm like, oh, we're gonna do. Oh, he's got schizophrenia. He's got a double person. Because boy, in the 80s was that a answer to a lot of things at trials.
Can we? I thought about this with they open with a cartoon, and then throughout the movie they're watching cartoons and they're watching Pepe Le Pew.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought
that's what Harleen is Pepe Le Pew.
Yes, that was my thought. And he's the cat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's the one that's, thinking he's something he's not and trying to get him,
relentlessly, yeah.
And that was my takeaway from like why that cartoon and like how that is. And that's why I say
he wanted some shekels. Warner Brothers was like, well,
And that's why I feel like
or that's Todd Phillips saying
she was
that Acme movie.
She was more of the villain of the story, but we cut out or just did not allow her story to really be told because I feel like she had more of a role. But let's talk about that ending. We were getting there. We kind of got off. Let's talk about that ending.
Ooh, yeah. So
Yeah.
at the end, Arthur Fleck dies.
Yeah, he gets stabbed by another inmate, and then are they is that supposed to be?
Well, he's carving the Glasgow smile, so
yeah, he's carving the smile after he stabs
and
Arthur.
he's laughing. He's laughing. He's carving the smile. He told a joke, beforehand. When I just everyone said the controversial ending, and I watched that, and I was kind of like,
that's the natural conclusion for me.
Yeah, same here.
You die by the sword.
Yeah, but I just wonder for a lot of audiences, it was like we had two movies named Joker, and it's like you didn't get the real Joker maybe until like the last minute.
No, it's the joke's on you. Todd Phillips is the Joker. Guys, come on, be serious.
That's what I'm like. I expected Arthur to not make it
That's
out.
What the title should have been Joker. The joke's on you.
I honestly thought that they were gonna do that. I swear to God, I thought when they announced the sequel, I promise you, I was like, they're gonna do punchline or the joke's on you. I promise you, I was like, I just knew it was gonna be that. And they kind of failed me on that one yet again.
I kind of would have laughed if, like, I guess some people have said, like, if you watch that inmate's in the background all the time, just staring Arthur down.
All the time. It's about halfway through the movie is when you start to notice him. I mean, I guess if I rewatch it, maybe he was there from the beginning, but it's about literally halfway through the movie where it's kind of like he's intentionally shot to be within, but sort of out of the frame, that kind of thing. So I'm just like, whatever.
And I kind of wish that they had just cast Cameron Monaghan in that part.
Boy, they don't ever want to hear that name at DC and Warner Brothers again.
You mean the actual actor who played
the best Joker origin we've ever had ever? Yeah.
But like I mean, he needs more credit because he played 3 distinctively different takes on the same character in the same show. And people don't
want to give Gotham its flowers. It's fine. Like either you get it or you don't. Like when I'm watching the Penguin show, I'm just like, no, I don't like this.
So
Riddler in the Batman movie with Robert Pattinson, I'm just like, no.
My thing is like, it also like, there's one Wayne reference in this. There's the Wayne building. There's no mention of like, I told Janine, I was like, if I felt like they were really trying to build from what they did last time, there would be some sort of like on the news, like Arthur Fleck responsible for the riots and the breakout that resulted in the death of Thomas and Martha Wayne, something like that with all the news stuff that we were having inserted and talked about around him. And
yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, it's like, he killed 6 people, but it's like, no mention of, he started this riot that killed. I'm sure other people got killed too in that riot.
Do we know that he killed his mom? I couldn't remember that from the first one.
Yeah, he
did.
Pillow. Okay. When she was in the hospital, he put the pillow over
I
her
thought
head.
so, but then I looked at Janine like, was that one that we just assumed? I couldn't remember.
Like I said, it's tough to say. Really.
I just rewatched it recently. Yeah. He actually put the pillow on her face. Yeah.
We were going to rewatch it, but we just didn't have the time.
I didn't have the heart.
I've only watched Joker twice.
It was on TV. I just left it on in the background. I'm like, okay.
I watched it in theaters.
Phil.
Mhm.
And then I watched it once later, and that was it. Because, like I said, it is a good movie if you just take out the Joker element and just look at it about a
It's an art
man
house film. It
unhinged.
really
Yeah,
is, and I appreciate it. But like, just don't put Joker on it. Like that. That's the whole thing. Like, just because you couldn't make the movie you wanted to, you okie doked Warner Brothers. You're not gonna okie doke me. I can see it for what it is, and like I said, it's got some great ideas, some great themes that needed to be discussed. But the fact that you put the name Joker on it negates all the things that you put in there.
You know what's funny? I'm gonna share this. So Jeannie and I went and we walk up there and I hand them my rewards card when I go to order our tickets. And the lady goes, "You have 2 free tickets. Do you want to redeem them?" Yes.
Good for you.
So all I paid for was popcorn.
Nice.
Yeah, that the theater gets that money. Good.
Yeah. And I always like to support my theater. So I didn't even give this movie any of my money.
Nice.
But you know what? Like, okay, so when the movie was over, we're walking out. And the couple comes down like the seats, and the guy looks at me and goes, "This ain't making $1 billion." And the lady's like, she goes, "Yeah, this was kind of boring and dumb." I was just laughing. And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, I feel you. I see what you're saying. You know, and
Oh
and
my
I
lord.
have-
Okay, hold on. Me and Luke are walking out of the theater. Usually he'll be like, I like that, or I didn't like that. You know, it was too long, or I didn't like it, or something. We walked out of it. He goes, "Oh my God, what was that?" I was like, I'm sorry.
We'll watch a movie directed by Tom Phillips. Not Luke, and not again.
What was that?
like I said, there's interesting parts in there, and I bet you could go in there and edit a good movie out of that by just cutting a few things out.
It's a short film at best.
I mean, make it like an hour and 30.
Well, it's an hour and 38. Well, not that. It's 138 minutes as it stands, and I say we could have done this in 60. Absolutely.
And again, especially this one, it just seems to me it's just like the world is beating down on this mentally, man with mental.
Again, society like that.
Well, yeah.
That was the driving heart of the story. And
again, if that's the
going to carry
story,
over.
if that's the story you want to tell, fine. But I think it gets lost when you pin the Joker to it.
Yeah, I mean, because like if you look at it, they're trying to tell us a story about a person who's mentally ill, and if they're trying, if they really wanted to tell us more about that story, you talk about where we were as a society in the early 80s, looking at mental illness, and the care that people have with mental illness.
Because that was also around the time when we started really closing down state hospitals, and they were just kind of running the streets with no care, and that's why a lot of mental illness people with mental illness end up in jail, which is definitely not the place for them to. But there's nowhere else for them to go either.
I know it wouldn't have made $1 billion, but do you think they could have made something if they had been like, oh, these 2 movies are the story of, a brand new character, but it's like the serial killer that ran the streets of Gotham years before Batman ever came about. Could they?
That's a TV show. That's not a $1 billion movie.
That's true. I don't know if you can get seasons out of that though.
No,
but we got seasons out of Gotham Babes.
Yeah,
but let's be real here now.
But Gotham fell into that prequel. Where it's like, well, we start with being a prequel, but eventually we're just doing the show without really having the character that the show's about.
No, specifically for Batman, they have to skirt around that specifically. That's why we should have a Nightwing show.
Gotham had a few points. It had the Penguin, the Riddler, and
it had every Batman villain but Two-Face
that drove the women crazy. Yeah, come on.
And let's not forget Stabby Babs.
Every Batman villain but Two-Face was in Gotham. We got a Harvey.
Harvey Dent showed up.
We got Harvey Dent in season 1 for 1 episode, and then he disappeared for the rest of the
He came back towards the end. It's like season 3 or 4 or something. But yeah, it was like basically a glorified cameo. But yeah.
But he never was Two-Face. He was always just Harvey. So he's the one Batman villain that Batman will actually have to fight as Batman, not as Bruce Wayne.
Well, yeah, because most versions of the story, he doesn't get his face melted until Bruce is already Batman.
Exactly.
At least they understood that.
But as far as like, if they wanted to do this movie, I still think they could have done the same basic story but better. But once again, they'd have to lean into comic book where Harley's his doctor. He gets
and they specifically said they didn't want to do that because it's problematic. I'm like, babes, the whole Joker thing is problematic. So
exactly. I mean, the whole first movie was about pushing the edge, and And this one, in a way, I feel like this one played it more safe.
Yeah.
Like as far as like the
Well, you
first
gotta
one was
remember,
like
this is post-COVID. This is where there's so much like quote unquote woke people with their discourse that they just did. They were definitely still wanting to make another $1 billion. So that's, I feel specifically why they didn't make Harley the Doctor, because it would have been those young Gen Z and Alpha kids. Oh my god, that's so problematic! I can't believe they put that on screen.
Their whole relationship's problematic.
Exactly. It's like everybody's like, oh, to be like Harley and Joker. I like, did you mean Morticia and Gomez?
That's what me and Jania.
You should be.
That's what me and Jania are going as this year for Halloween.
As everyone should. It's the best couple costume ever.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm just saying, the kids today, man. I feel like this is just very, very much in the vein of like, let's just try to recapture the magic. Let's try not to offend people. And I'm like, babe, you're gonna offend the people that saw the first movie. So like, I don't even know.
But I feel like when you don't have a singular voice and you're trying not to offend or do anything, you're not really creating anything that actually says anything. You're just, and that's why, I mean, okay, have you guys heard how these studios are supposedly gathering these mega fan like groups to help?
Oh, I did.
Yeah, they've been doing that since 2022, basically.
I did see that, yeah.
And I'm just like, that's stupid. And
they're desperate. Hollywood is crumbling anyway, and I'll be glad to see what comes out, because it's been time for Hollywood to crumble and that system to go away, because it's a mess.
Hollywood, Capes and Lunatics. We can save it.
I don't want to save it. I want something new to come from it. It's over. It's over. Like, ever since Marvel made $1 billion with the multiverse superhero franchise, like it has been IP or non-original IP after IP. It was always gonna crumble. The bubble has burst, people. Okay, like, we're still chasing it, but we clearly saw the bubble burst. So figure it out.
They need their Deadpool and Wolverine.
I mean, that should have happened a long time ago.
Well, yeah.
That's the only saving grace of it. It's like, well, this should have happened a long time ago. We finally gave the fans what they wanted, and there you go. When you give your fans something they actually want and have been craving,
yeah,
and it's not just nostalgia, brain rot slop.
Well, maybe Crypto appearing in the Superman movie will turn things around. Which again, Mark Waid announced on this show, kids.
True. It was true.
I was there. Yes,
I was there.
I don't. I mean, I have hopes for. I wouldn't say high hopes, because like DC is just such a dumb. Warner Brothers is such a dumpster fire right now.
I mean, sadly, but yeah,
it breaks my heart, because I'm finally getting this. I'm thinking I'm probably getting the Superman that I've wanted this whole time, live action, like the actual true successor to like Christopher Reeves. Like that's the vibes I feel like he's going for, and it's just like too little, too late. And you know, there's just been like, they've been trying to salvage the reputation of Superman, but it's just been such an uphill battle. An uphill battle at this point. And it didn't have to be like this. This movie didn't have to be like this. Everything Warner's touched that is related to the DC property didn't have to be like this. Like, they had many better ideas, and they just went with the lowest common denominator. And that's just really not a good way to run a movie studio, in my personal opinion.
and I mean, I get why Sony's doing it, but
well, Sony has to, out of contractual obligation.
Oh yeah,
every 2 years they have to make some Spider-Man related movie, or they lose the rights and they won't get the sweet MCU money. So
I'm just like,
I totally get that on the Sony side. Warner Brothers has no excuse.
No, because they have all that. Yeah, but I'm just like, why does every other thing have to be a villain thing? But
well, that's the best characters in the DC universe. I want a Sinestro movie. I mean, I could have done without the Green Lantern. If they would have just focused on Sinestro and the Green Lantern movie, that movie would have been a banger. I said what I said.
Or if it would have come out, in 2007, the exact same movie out in 2007, people would look back at it like, yeah, it was okay. You know, they wouldn't hate it. If they would have
actually did the damn Barry Allen movie with Ryan Reynolds, that's where they effed up. We could have literally been way ahead of Marvel at that time. But you know, I digress. Coulda, woulda, shouldas.
Too many other heroes too. They could. Yeah, come on.
And also, if we're gonna do a Green Lantern movie, it should have never been Hal, especially at that specific time. We all know it should have been. Say it with me.
Jon Stewart.
Thank you.
Make sure we're all
Yeah.
Tim.
I was
like,
going to throw
what,
Will for a loop and go, Kyle Rayner?
And you know what? You want to know who? I know this is controversial, but it could have been Will Smith, and that shit would have did $1 billion fucking dollars.
Oh, man, that movie would have slapped.
I'm telling you, because like low key, people are still clamoring for Hancock. They're like, come on, give us the 10-year chip sequel. I'm just saying. He did gangbusters and Independence Day. Like I'm just saying it would have made sense for the studio at the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying. Too little too late though. But I don't know. It's just something about this movie that it's just stuck in my craw. Like I just wish it was better.
My thing was I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I was like,
it's just
yeah. Like Jania, like I said, she summed it up by saying underwhelming. And when we did like before we knew the cinema score, okay, we were like, what would you give it out of we did our ratings out of 10. I said like a 6. She did like a 5. And then we said, what letter grade would you give? I was like, I give like a C, C minus, C. She goes D. I was like, oh,
yeah, D for dog shit for me.
And I was like, I give it a C because I think there's some beautiful shots and like I said, great acting and scenes, but as a collective, just there's something missing. And it's not even like
it's heart, soul, and care. That's what's missing. Like I said, this feels very slapped together, very much trying to chase that formula, but at the same time trying to counteract the message from the first movie. So it's just I don't know. I don't get it.
I mean, you have that whole scene where he breaks down where he's like, I'm not, I never took in the first movie that Joker and him were two different like personalities.
Exactly. But again, they were just doing that to try to get him off. Hell.
But like he was Joker and Joker was him. He just wanted to like it was like him
at the end. It was me.
Yeah, that's just it. It was me. Like, and he starts to say like there is no Joker, like, and kind of separating himself from that identity. So I don't know. Like it's like at the end it was just little
a torch to be passed, my friend. A torch to be passed.
Yeah, little boy Arthur. Just I was not this, and they set up for the real Joker to cut his face and go crazy and
never to be heard from again.
Poor Arthur.
Yeah, honestly, at the end of the day, poor Arthur.
I think that's the one thing about this movie is I think it would be interesting to watch them both back to back, just to kind of see Arthur, because then you see him even more as like being this person. You're like, I feel bad for this dude, but I don't know. I've like just the first movie felt dark and strong. And this one just did not have that. Like
this one was mostly courtroom scenes and him locked up in the cell.
Yeah, everybody's worried about the musical aspect. I'm worried about. I was like, wait a minute, I don't want no damn courthouse drama as a Joker sequel. Because that took up most of the time, if we're being honest.
I feel like everyone's gonna jump to like the musical as part. I mean, no, the musical part didn't bother me. I feel like some of it was a little too long, but all in all, I don't feel like that's what killed it. Like I feel like
the best thing about this movie is the Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars song "Die with a Smile." Chef's kiss. That's the only good thing this movie has done for the universe.
There it is. That's the note to go out on, Phil, right there.
That's right.
All right. So what would you are your grades still going to stay the same from your initial thing after mulling it over, or did it get lower, higher?
It's like I said, I give it like I'm going to say a 6. It's still a C minus, somewhere in there. And I think that just comes down to interesting visuals. They did well, but the story just doesn't feel like there's a straight. I feel like there's too much questions and too much of like, why do we have this? What are we doing here? What's really going on? And not even in the sense of like the first one, you're like, what happened? But you knew where this movie was going in the first one. Like in this one, I thought there's too many things that just kind of happening that you're like, what is this? And I feel like you could, if you cut the Harley character out of this, I think you almost have the exact same movie. He just doesn't have anybody he's bouncing off with or, fantasizing about or whatever. But if you would have had her character be the one kind of behind the scenes, like, let's stop giving Arthur his medicine. And she's like, doing things to help fuel and push the Joker back out there. And we saw that, and we saw that she was more pure villainous. I would have liked that, but we didn't get that.
Yeah, I mean it's I'd say C minus maybe. Again, it's if you have nothing, absolutely nothing else to do, maybe watch it. But yeah, don't expect like.
I'm gonna be interested to see. You know how like Madam Web kind of like once it came to Netflix, kind of got like a little bit of resurgence.
Oh, I did see people were comparing it to Madam Web. So
Yeah, because Madam
Nothing
Web
is better than
cinema.
Madam Web. Don't get me wrong, but almost anything is.
yeah.
Well, Madam Web's cinema score and Rotten Tomatoes and everything was higher.
Oh wow!
That's what I'm seeing.
Well, it's a lot of astroturfing in those in the IMDb and a couple of the other places. Like I've literally seen that one review posted like the same review, literally the same review 35 times. So I'll wait till they figure that out.
Well, and a lot more eye candy in Madam Web too.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not maybe not for the plot, but
Do movies even have plots anymore, or is it just a string of events? Because I feel like that is just a big criticism of a lot of the movies that I've watched in 2024.
I think that happens when you're trying to appease your 4 quadrant and nobody actually wants to take a chance on a story. It's either that or it's like a strong MacGuffin.
Yeah.
We have to do this to do, and everything. We got to, get this item. And so I feel like that's
my best of list for 2024 is going to be so damn short for movies this year.
I honestly don't even know what my best of for 2024
well, again, the pool is and the pool's smaller too, because I mean we kind of got gypped because of the writer's strike, right? So
Allegedly, it's kind of like after a point, like let's just be honest, they're running out of steam. They don't know what to do.
Well, yeah.
I've been on a constant disappointment outside of the exceptions of maybe 10. I've been on a kind of downward spiral since Tenet, to be honest. We had a short kind of resurgence with the Barbie movie and Oppenheimer, and then we're kind of back down to sliding. Although Dune 2 was pretty good, we were still it's like the exception, not the rule. Like we used to have good, solid mid-budget movies, and like everything just wants to be a blockbuster now, and that's the problem. We got to get back to our roots.
You know what movie I really enjoyed?
A movie to make $1 billion. Like, be happy with 500 million.
You know what movie I really enjoyed this summer was The Bike Riders.
Oh yeah, Austin Butler.
And I went to the theater to see that because I just really wanted to. Because I told Janine, like just something about it. I was like, this is kind of the vibe of a movie I've been wanting to see. Like, let's go to the theater to support it and everything. And I really enjoyed it. I didn't have anything else to say afterwards. I just thought it was a good movie. It was, it was refreshing for everything else to what we keep getting. So
yeah, absolutely. You want to talk some comic books now?
Yeah. Hey Tyler, did you read DC All In special?
Yes. Yes,
he's like, I have so many thoughts. Let's.
Oh my!
No, I'm gonna say a couple that I gotta bounce. I gotta take care of the kids because Jania's gotta finish her college work before, and I gotta get them ready for school. But All In was cool. I liked it. I thought it made me kind of chuckle at one point when they're talking and they're like, well, when the Darkest Night happened with, they're like referencing all the different crises that have happened and trying to like bring back things from metal and, death metal and then Infinite Crisis and then now how they were cut off from the multiverse and then all of this. And I'm just like, man, that is just trying to explain so much.
That seems to be the new thing instead of, oh, hey, nothing counts after that last reboot.
Everything
like,
counts.
All the reboots matter. Yeah.
And because they
almost have to.
It birthed the omniverse where it's multiple multiverses and all, and you're just like, okay, all right. And I'm trying to even comprehend what makes sense anymore. And then, the dark side one was, I think, more interesting because that's really what set up what was happening with dark side mixing with the Spectre and like his whole journey to basically make himself stronger and then birthing a new universe. I was like, okay, this is interesting. I guess I understand like where they're going with the whole like on that side, the absolute side, like this whole new multiverse slash world where we're gonna get books and stories. But other than that, like the whole all in initiative, I'm just kind of like, how is that any different than other things
Because
they've
they
tried?
refuse to say a reboot. Don't call it a reboot, call it a refresh. That is where we're
I mean, it's just like when they did the Dawn of DC, like, and everyone
and that
had
flopped. But this one has more potential. I'm gonna be real with you.
I mean, I just like the whole in the all in special when they're bringing the Justice League, like the Justice League Unlimited. I'm like, so they're just basically doing the pilot of Justice League Unlimited.
So somebody get Mark Waid on the phone.
I was like, okay, but I'm just, what?
Listen, millennials run the entertainment sphere right now. They are so desperately trying to recapture our attention and get our nostalgia dollars so hard in every single medium. And sometimes it works in certain aspects, and other times it doesn't. We'll have to see how this one goes.
I just want to say that the only comic right now that really has me where I'm like, what is this all about? Is Trinity. Because I'm trying to figure out, where does this take place? Where does this happen?
It doesn't matter. That's the point, Tyler. There's no continuity. No one's in control.
I'm like, is this an alternate Earth? Because you're watching Damian and John are doing all this stuff like in the background with Trinity. And I'm like, but she hasn't even met anybody else yet. And then like they're aged up. And
that's their favorite thing to do, isn't it, Tyler?
And then they're aged back down. And there's all this story. And I'm like, this big mystery. And I'm like, what is going on with this?
Which one are we following this time, guys? I feel like that those are the total vibes right now.
That's just where I'm at. Like with hers, I'm like, where does she fall into anything? Like she's not in any continuity or any books or her story. And like I read that whole Wonder Woman line, and like I was supposed to be like, we were supposed to get some big reveal who her father is and all this stuff. And I'm just like, what's going on with this character? So that's the one
Wonder
that's
Woman
kind of
is technically a demigod, so it could even be her own dad. Is the hint that I was getting, but anyway.
I'm just like, what? If I'm just like, what's going on? Like, where is this character taking place? Like, is she going to eventually emerge with our modern current timeline? What is going on? So
well, that's the thing that they've been testing so many things out, and like I said, they're definitely pushing. There's no continuity; everything counts, so it doesn't matter. Just enjoy it.
And
kind of mentality.
And my thing is, I can't, because I feel like continuity is how you have stake in a story.
They don't want things to have stakes because, again, they're trying to also appeal to that younger generation. It's kind of like if you play The Sims and you're playing The Sims 4, like you notice like a deep decrease in lore, and it's just about aesthetics for the most part, and just kind of like a pretty, like, instead of a sandbox, you have a dollhouse kind of approach. And I feel like that perfectly sums up the vibes that DC Comics specifically is trying to capture right now. Shut up and just lay there.
But
I mean, think absolute power out and DC all in there. I think this basically confirms it for me that's what they're chasing after.
Yeah, and I'm interested. I want to see what they do with the absolute books, which again we'll see this
week.
I'm
excited. I think like I said, like I was very surprised that I was very surprised that I liked the absolute power of the event. I'm just like,
it's Mark.
I don't know about it.
Mark Waid.
But again, it's still a cash grab. It's still a reboot without everything except for a name for them. So it's always like I'm always iffy. I'm always iffy about it.
And we knew it was coming eventually, that they were going to restart the Justice League. But
did they have to though? Let
the
Titans have it.
I just feel like nothing in comics lasts for long. Is the problem
anymore? Yeah.
Not even death.
I mean, especially like
Barry Allen was dead for how long?
Right. I mean, going back,
it's been dead for how long?
20-some years. Yeah.
Going back and reading everything with Phil and like doing Electric Mullet, where we're going back through those comics, and you see that there's progression, and just in the short time of where we are and how many years, like, so we're like what, Phil, 2-3 years. So like the books we're reading now are what, like 88, 89,
89, yeah.
So we're about 3 years from the 85 reboot. By that point in time, we probably have already had like what, 3 Crisis in Modern Era, like, and I just think about the 10 years since, the New 52, when I really started making sure I caught up with all comics, how many crises, events, and reboot and changes and all this have happened. It's ridiculous because nothing gets to actually happen and go on. Like as soon as a new writer comes in, they just want to reboot it back to the status quo instead of
I blame Marvel in
continue.
the Ultimate books
Well,
for
Marvel
that.
and DC, it's like
specifically.
nobody can get more than a year or so on a book.
And you know, at this point in some books, especially, so I get it. Like they don't want to make that big of a commitment.
Well,
Like
yeah.
they made because a certain writer they made more than a 1 year commitment for, and look how that's panning out for them. So much so that we're having a farewell party for them. So,
Ew.
so I totally get it at that point.
All I'm gonna say is, how long do we think Alfred comes back and Bruce has all of his money back? Because that's the one thing I feel that's happened.
Well, Bruce
Again,
has
at the end of 2025.
Bruce has
We'll
his
be
money
back to complete status quo.
Well, Bruce has his money back. Well,
To a point.
Well, most of it.
Fail safe. Fail. It was a
Yeah.
fail safe made some good investments. I have money again, but yeah, no.
It's
But
kind
yeah.
of like when Oliver Queen lost his money on Arrow. You know what I mean? It's one
Yeah.
of those vibes.
Again, it's one of those things where it's like Tony Stark loses his fortune and then he always rebuilds it back up.
But I'm just like,
technically he's still a trust fund baby, and he doesn't have full access to all his trust funds. So you know, it's that whole thing.
my thing is the only thing I feel like that stayed so far major has been Alfred's death.
And they're gonna fix that eventually. Alfred Pennyworth is he's too much of a fan favorite for them to keep him dead too much longer.
They did that for Future State, and again, that never came to
and
pass.
that flopped hard.
Yeah, that 5G or whatever. Yeah,
they just haven't had the right writer right now to bring him back. Like it's been too many events after events to focus on it right now.
That's all. I mean, I feel like that's how they would do it. He just slips in from another Earth, or like a timeline thing. Paradox.
No. Damien's definitely throwing him in the Lazarus pit. Sorry to break it to him. They're gonna be lazy with it.
And he comes back. He comes back as the young Alfred.
I would love that.
He comes back as like that Pennyworth TV series Alfred.
Man, people missed out on that. Honestly, I thought it was pretty good.
I thought season 3 was much better, but it still had some weirdness like in places.
Well, it's always gonna have weirdness. It was on Epics, like.
Well, I mean, that's
didn't have the budget to properly do it.
I mean, I think that's Bruno Heller in general.
Oh, true, touche.
But my thing was, then they and then like, it's one of those prequel shows where it's like we're being a prequel, but then it threw out and did like some crazy stuff. That I'm like, that makes no sense if you're a prequel show.
All prequels eventually have that conundrum. I feel like it's unavoidable.
Yeah, they want to get to good stuff, but it's like no, that's too early.
Well, I mean, they were like, okay, the Waynes have a daughter.
Yeah.
And all this, but all right, I got.
And of course, it was a different universe anyway. So
I had just hoping it was more. It was going to be more of a prequel towards Gotham, since it's all Bruno Heller. Like it was going to be like. But all right, you guys take care.
All right,
thanks for
Tyler.
Thanks for joining us.
All right, before we get out of here, I know you did mention the Storm #1. So do you want to talk that?
Yeah, how did you like it?
I liked it. I mean. How do you feel that now they're like putting her in the Avengers and everything?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, that's I know.
It's not where she belongs. I was more hoping for like some solo Storm stuff. Like,
yeah, that's what I was thinking. If they don't
her
want to
going to like back to Africa maybe, and like kind of like I like her like she was worshipped as a god. Like that Storm. That's the aspects of Storm that I like. I don't really like her being over here in the States. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Let alone teaming up with the Avengers. I'm just like,
yeah.
I feel like the X-Men and Avengers have just so many fundamentally differences in how they do things that it just wouldn't work.
Yeah, no, especially now that she has her own ongoing book. It's like, yeah, do that. And she's not in an X-Men book at the moment. Yeah, do that. You can, have her travel in the world.
But she is in Atlanta at least. So I like that. I thought that was pretty kind of unique take. I like the writer that they chose.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually kind of surprised at the writer that they chose because pretty much unknown at this point for most people. And the artist was really good. Lucas did a good job. I like the art on this so much.
Oh yeah, I love the art on this.
And I love how like she's going through her looks from previous, and I was just like, oh, this is really cool. I feel like these writers really care about Storm, and you're very lucky if you get a character that you love, that's your favorite, and you have a writer that feels the same way, and you can feel that through the pages.
Who knows the history and stuff?
Yeah. So I really do appreciate that.
This is one of the better books this week. Well, this past week, yeah.
I'm interested to see where they go for this. Like I just feel like I hope Forge comes back. I hope she like makes a relationship with Jubilee. Like I want to see some of the classic hallmarks of Storm.
Yeah.
And then I also would love to see some nods to like her time as like with the Fantastic Four and like a nod to Black Panther. Like I'm just being greedy, but like those are just my kind of hopes, I think.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I mean, again, her own solo book. Yeah,
There's so much potential. You know Wolverine's gonna show up eventually. I give it till issue 10.
Have her travel in the world. Yeah,
That's what that's what I mean. Like I very much want like a woman of international intrigue vibes.
Yeah.
That's what I want for Storm.
So be like a mutant ambassador or something. Yeah,
exactly. So what other book did you want to talk about?
I mean, I'm good. Let me see what else do we got. Well, speaking of Black Panther, Ultimate Black Panther 9 was out. Yeah.
Yeah, they're still going pretty strong. I don't feel like whereas like I love the Spider book. Don't get me wrong, the Ultimate Spider-Man or whatever. But I do feel like we're kind of spinning our wheels right now over there. But I feel like they're still going strong. They still have an idea. Like they still have a little bit left in the gas tank for the arc.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of there's so many because this is such a different take for Black Panther. I feel like whereas the Ultimate Spider-Man book, I feel like there's some and I don't mean this in a bad way, there's some like retreading of familiar themes, and they're just kind of like literally like just kind of digging a little deeper and giving us a little more emotional resonance. And that's kind of the point of the Ultimate Spider-Man book. He's married, he's got kids, all that thing. We've been there, done that, but we're kind of going in deeper, and it's kind of a juxtaposition to say the main book. Whereas Ultimate Black Panther, they're just like they're out there just swinging on a limb, doing stuff that you've never seen Black Panther do. So
yeah,
I think that just leads to more things to explore for Black Panther. Plus, Black Panther hasn't technically had that many books as Spider-Man, so like a lot of this doesn't feel like a retread. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you're throwing in stuff like Khonshu and stuff.
Exactly, like the twist of it all. Yeah, it makes it a little more interesting and kind of keeps you off balance where you don't know where they're going. I think I like that kind of approach for Black Panther.
Yeah, definitely.
And I love that it's so much magic with Black Panther. I thought that was just such an interesting aspect for the book.
Oh yeah, I mean it makes sense. Like this, like the older part of the world, and again, Wakanda's always been like.
Well, it's not magic; it's tech.
Yeah, but here it's like, is there something up with that vibranium in the Ultimate Universe? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, I want to ask your opinion. How is Immortal Thor going?
All right, let me see. I like this week's issue because number 16. It had an old school vibe. I liked it because again he brings in Radioactive Man. He's fighting Radioactive Man. There we also had Cobra and Mr. Hyde showed up. I was like, it's old school. I love it.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people saying a lot of good things, and that's Al Ewing again. So,
yes.
And like it's. I don't know. Like I think he got a taste of that cosmic vibe with the stuff that he was doing previously, and kind of brought that into Immortal Thor full force, maybe, which is pretty cool. He gets a chance to kind of like refine that.
Yeah, I kind of like. Yeah, he really. I mean, Immortal Hulk was great, but I think even more here, he's really like doing the tightrope of okay, here's the cosmic stuff. Okay, here's something. Here's something on Earth, and here, just.
Yeah, I just never have been able to find Thor super relatable. And I just picked up the couple of issues. I was like, oh, this ain't bad at all. But maybe it's just Al.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, you just have to pick a good. It's not as easy to write Thor as you think.
Yeah. Exactly.
Kind of have to make him relatable and not get too crazy with it.
And he's got so much responsibility, and like I kind of like the subtle way that Al kind of has crafted the story that's kind of weighing on him, but he's not trying to let it. Because that's not Thor really, the Marvel Thor anyway. Like he's kind of a pretty go lucky guy if you let him be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But being an all father, that's a lot of responsibility,
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I picked it up just out of curiosity. I thought it was pretty cool.
All right. Any other book you want to talk about?
No. What about you? I know we're kind of running long.
No, that's good because again we talked a bunch of Spider-Man and Batman stuff on the other shows, so we good.
Yeah. Are you reading Wolverine Deep Cut?
Yes. Yeah. That.
What'd you think?
It was all right. I mean, I kind of like that. That Chris Claremont's run was so long that there are moments. It's like, oh, I didn't get to this. About the whole thing with the Marauders and everything. So
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious. Do you think this is gonna get a red band issue?
I don't know. I mean, this was the last.
What makes a red? I still want to know what makes a red band issue. I guess if it's Deadpool or Wolverine, like I figure it would just have a red band.
I mean, it seemed like a lot of the horror stuff did. Like if they do like a Werewolf by Night, or I think what was it? I don't know if it was every issue, but I know the first issue of Blood Hunt. Yeah, got a red band. So I think if it's like vampires or werewolves, they're down for it. But
yeah, I'm just interested to figure out what the line of that all is all. So yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't try to sneak in a red band on Spider-Man for that most brutal fight in history.
They knew not to push it. Listen, they're trying to downplay the exit as much as possible. If you've noticed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So.
Quick blurb and then letters page. Oh hey.
I do want to go over to Kingspawn 38.
Oh okay. Yeah.
Yeah. This is my favorite Spawn. Well, yeah. No, Gunslinger's my favorite, but this is my second favorite Spawn book so far.
Mm-hmm. I mean, how you feeling the vibes? I mean, in all the books, and basically everyone's depowered.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how they're handling it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's kind of reacting to it a little different, and I think that's where Kingspawn kind of just is a step above the rest of them in that point.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's like, I'm still gonna do what I do. I'm not gonna sit around and mope about it. I'm gonna do what I do.
And it's almost like like Al Simmons. I mean, he's pretty much normal now. It's like, well, this is what you wanted. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. Like every time, like I don't know. To me, anytime I just see any Spawn book and I see some other artist other than Todd McFarlane, I'm just like, that just doesn't feel right. But I do like the artist on Kingspawn a lot.
Yes.
Sonara is super, super talented and very like detailed, and I like the coloring and the inking on it. It really makes it pop and have like this hellish, devious undertone that that's what you come to Spawn for.
Mm-hmm. And again, it's like the artists like really like each book has like its own flavor and stuff.
Yeah, I like that. Like it was like it's one thing, like to see, like I said, when Todd is the writer and the artist, but then like to see somebody else's take on it, and he's still the writer, so he still has pretty much and the boss of the company, so he pretty much has final say. But just to see somebody's interpretation of his character, and it just kind of gives it that fresh pop, I guess, is nice.
Yeah, exactly. But no,
that was about it for me. I mean, there's a new Barbarella out from Dynamite. If you were into the old one, this new one is even better. It is a $5 book, but the art is amazing. People don't. I mean, I pretty much you're reading Barbarella for the art, not the story. Let's just be real. If you know with the Dynamite books. But it's still a pretty good story. But the art pretty much is what you come for. So, heyo. I just wanted to shout that out. I don't really talk about Dynamite a lot because Charlie's not here. So,
Dynamite.
Yeah, it's got Barbarella, Vampirella, Red Sonja. That's who the main characters for Dynamite are. So
yeah.
I guess I'll talk about IDW real quick too. We got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Night Watcher #2 out.
Yeah, how's that?
I mean, it's Junie Ba. This is where Junie Ba shines doing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff over at IDW, in my personal opinion.
Oh, nice.
I don't feel like DC, when they had Junie, really like leveraged what Junie is good at. They just kind of like gave Junie a story and said, here. Whereas like I feel like they didn't ask Junie what they wanted to write. And just, you know what I mean? Like you have to really give a writer something that they can latch on to. And I just feel like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is Junie Ba's thing. Real fan, loves to write the story. You can feel it through the pages.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So yeah, well, that's pretty much all my books.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That's good for me. All right. So.
Oh wait, we were supposed to talk about. Oh, did you ever pick up I Know What You Did Last Crisis?
No, I didn't pick that up yet.
Okay, pick it up, and we will talk about it the next time we talk. Okay.
Okay.
You're gonna love it. I promise. I know it's a $10 book, but you are gonna love it.
Oh wow. Yeah, I heard some good things about it. So. I heard what you did last crisis. It's like, which one was that again?
No, exactly the point. Exactly the
really?
point.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's very tongue in cheek. It's a lot of satire.
Okay.
It's very fourth wall breaking. I loved it so much.
Okay, I'm down for that then. All right, kids. So share your thoughts on Joker, on new comics. Our next movie review, I'm sure, should be Venom: The Last Dance. So, email us capesandlunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-capes. And remember, you can find all things Capes Lunatics episodes, social media, merchandise. Get your brand new Capes Lunatics merch or classic Capes Lunatics merch. You can always, please, Lilith demands you rain the money on us through the Cash App link.
Make it rain.
We're just poor college students trying to make it through Gotham, man.
Once again, don't make us dance on that pole in Gotham because it's Gotham.
She looks like she was just working a stripper pole down at Divas.
And of course, the Patreon, where again you get exclusive, uncensored content every month. And if you are a patron, you can suggest topics for us to talk and review. So it's worth it for the price alone. So get on board there, and you can find that at patreon.com/capesandlunatics. And you can find everything else all in one place. That's tubespace.io/Capes and Lunatics Podcast Network. That's tubespace.io/Capes and Lunatics Podcast Network. And Lilith, I don't think you have any plugs because your social media is shrinking and shrinking.
Yeah. Well, it's Facebook. I just I'm gonna be locked out of my account, so I don't know if I'll make a new one.
Oh.
Either do the 6 or do the 9.
Oh my. All right. So thank you for joining us, kids. Again, see Joker at your own risk.
I'd say wait to stream it personally.
Yeah.
From the comfort of your own home. Why go out into the... Oh, well, you and Tyler didn't have to go be among unwashed masses, but still. You have to leave your house. Poor people. That's crazy.
I know. All right, kids. For another week, we have been New York Capes. Up a song!
Lunatics!
That's right. I don't know if we'll have another interview between now and then. But yes, the next movie review at the end of the month will be Venom: The Last Dance.
Yay. Talk about another franchise going out with a whimper.
Then we'll get what, Craven in December?
They keep threatening us. I don't know.
Like a stab to the gut.